Hi Lakshmi, good morning.
Good morning, Anu. And I'm so excited to be doing this, interview together as well today. A very intriguing question that I have in my mind for you, which is to do with what you mentioned about social conditioning that led you to make some choices, like leaving your very flourishing career. Then you also mentioned about how you reconditioned yourself to emerge from that. So I'm really curious to hear a little bit more about that.
There was something lurking beneath that, and I would say that is that state, that feeling of inadequacy. And that's inadequacy in terms of, am I good enough in all the roles I play? So while I stood up for, against the conditioning, I was conditioned because somewhere deep within, I always harbored that, am I enough?
Yeah.
Reconditioning required me to really look at that. And it was not very easy because it was discomforting, right? So I think the first step was being a coach allowed me to embrace that discomfort and no longer run away from it. So I could ask those pertinent questions as to where it is coming from. Second step was the community, because once I was in a community of diverse people thinking very differently from me. Also, I also facilitate programs in DE&I space, and talking to male and women leaders, I was suddenly asking myself, saying, hey, great, I'm giving all these tips and strategies, but how much of it do I apply in my life? Right?
Yeah.
Right. That was the second thing, the community. But the real reconditioning happened once I was courageous enough to have conversations at home. I also want to ask you, because now I've known you for so long, and how was reading your story? In fact, it allowed me to see you even more deeply than just as a friend. But you decided to take that experience and convert it for the benefit of others as a coach and mentor in STEM. I'm very curious, Lakshmi. Tell me more about how that happened.
That was for the first time in my life, I faced a dilemma wherein I had to make a choice between life or career. So I was going through personal challenges and elusive motherhood. Anyways, in the end, I too, like you, perhaps a result of social conditioning which I wasn't aware of, I chose to leave my career in pursuit of my motherhood. All that went well, thankfully, we were blessed with a child. But then later on, when I wanted to relaunch back into my career, scientific research, I was not able to do so. Finally, I reinvented myself, got into another alternative career in science. I went through a lot of self-doubt, and I was seeking a lot of external validation from others to tell me that I'm doing enough. Somewhere this awareness and the need for some help made me want to actually seek coaching support. Right? For the first time, I felt it's not just my journey. It's a journey of so many women, so many talented and brilliant women who at some point in their life feel that they're not enough.
Now, if I go back to your question about what do I see in India and what can be done more, first and foremost, I am pleased with seeing that there is research to support all this. Now, in my chapter as well, you'll see I've quoted a lot of studies. And it is an eye-opener to see, okay, even as of today, 50% of women are leaving the workplace for family. I think the second thing is also, I think these top brands are really introducing the concept of equity into the minds of the people. So I'll quote one for you, which is a dishwashing liquid ad, which is Vim. And they show a setting of a family where the groom has come to see the bride, as it's an arranged marriage. And while they are having a conversation, just the groom and the bride, the parents are eating and having some tea and so on. And the man says to the lady saying, don't worry, I will make sure that I help you with the cooking. It's not a big deal. So the girl turns back, looks at him with a very beautiful smile and says, don't worry, I'll help you with the dishwashing. It's not a big deal. So it really sets the context. It's not about you helping the other person. It's about partnering. I think that message is coming loud and clear. So it's very reassuring. It's not one-way conditioning, Lakshmi. It's two ways as well.
Right.
The members of the society are also conditioned. So they need us to work with them to recondition themselves as well, so that together we can partner for equity.
Absolutely.
What are some strategies you think it's not only about the individual, but also the organization as this and the system as a whole, which really create this, do away with this inequity which is there in the STEM space?
Yes, Anu. So, I look at this as 3 S's, right? Self, society, and system. 3 major levels where change can happen. So societal stereotypes is something that you brought out so beautifully through that ad that you just mentioned, right? There are stereotypes like that women, are good at taking care of the household and men are meant to work. And it's deeply embedded, deeply embedded within the society in our own mindsets. So reconditioning is definitely the way forward. And these kind of ads actually help change that social perception. With respect to system, like you said, there are a lot of changes already happening. I'm very pleased to see that. For example, if a woman wants a nursing room, companies and organizations are, I believe, now more willing to dedicate a room, hygienic room for that purpose. Change from the self can be very powerful while we are waiting for system level and societal level changes to happen. And to me, it is like you. I want to reiterate the point about the fact that we have too much of expectations generally, about ourselves. So I want to start by questioning that. At one point, I used to take pride in people calling me a superwoman, right? But now, when I have, as a coach, when I have analyzed myself, where is that superwoman, type or character or trait coming from? I realize that sometimes it's a need for validation again. So when I check in with myself and question that, I'm able to make decisions to like say no to things, which eventually prevents me from that phase of overwhelm and burnout.
So self-awareness and self-influence, and then of course having conversations with people around can help us really embrace self-adequacy and also influence others to have it as well, so that they can move into that feeling of I am enough.
I am enough. Yes.